व्हाट्स अप यूट्यूब फैमिली, वेलकम टू अवर न्यू वीडियो। सो गाइस, काफ़ी लोगों को जैसे पता ही है कि मैं प्रदीप राय सर जो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है सुप्रीम कोर्ट बार एसोसिएशन के, उनके अंडर में इंटर्नशिप कर रहा हूँ। तो आज हमारा एक प्ले था। तो मतलब क्या था कि हमें एक केस दे रखा था, उसके में प्ले करके दिखाना था। तो पूरी वीडियो में वही है, हमने कैसे प्रेजेंटेशन करी, प्ले को कैसे प्रेजेंट किया। तो वीडियो में पूरा वही दिखाया गया है। प्लीज़ वीडियो को पूरा एंड तक जरूर देखना। और हाँ, अगर चैनल पर नए हो, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दो और इंस्टाग्राम पे आकर मुझे
हमको ज्वाइन कर लो।
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or warm greetings to all our esteemed guests. So, today we are going to be presenting the landmark case of Messrs Shanti Conductors Limited versus Assam Electricity Board and others. The bench in our case is going to be Justice S. Nazir, Justice A. Bhushan, and Justice S. K. Sikri. So, the company Messrs Shanti Conductors is a private limited company registered as a small scale industrial unit with the Directorate of Industries Assam. The defendant Messrs Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited placed supply orders with the plaintiff company before the coming into force of the 1993 Act on 23rd September 1992. The plaintiff filed a suit for the realization of the amount which they had claimed as interest on the delayed payments allegedly made prior to the 1993 Act. The learned trial court concluded that the plaintiffs were entitled to a decree for realization of the amount claimed as interest on the delayed payment, allegedly made prior to the 1993 Act. The full bench of the High Court delivered its judgment on the questions for determination and held that a suit for the recovery of mere interest is maintainable if the interest is claimed under the 1993 Act. The full bench further held that the incidence or the sine qua non for payment of interest under the 1993 Act is not the terms of contract but the delayed payment. The correctness of the conclusions so reached by the full bench were put to challenge by the defendants in an appeal before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court of India, daytime outdoors.
Good evening. I'm Akanksha reporting live from APN News. And today we have an update on the ongoing legal case of Shanti Conductors versus Assam State Electricity Board that has been continuing for quite some while now. This case, which has now passed from the Trial Court of India to the Supreme Court, is based on the applicability of the 1993 Act. Shanti Conductors, the petitioner, has raised the issue that the Act should be applicable to the supply orders that was placed before the Act came into effect, that is on 23rd of September 1992. As the case continues to unfold, the Supreme Court's decision will have a significant impact on both the parties. So, stay tuned to APN News to get to know more about this intriguing legal battle.
नमस्कार, मैं हूँ तान्या सिंह कौरव, रिपोर्टर एपीएन न्यूज़, कैमरामैन सुनील के साथ। जी हाँ, आज एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण केस की सुनवाई होने जा रही है। हमारे साथ हैं सुमित जी, शांति कंडक्टर्स के मालिक। आइए जानते हैं उनकी आप बीती उनकी ज़ुबान।
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम सुमित सोगसारिया है। मैं एक प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी की मालिक हूँ और जो रिस्पोंडेंट है उन्होंने हमारी कंपनी में 2 ऑर्डर प्लेस करी थी, जिसकी डिलीवरी टाइम पे तो हो गई, लेकिन इन्होंने हमारी पेमेंट बहुत डिले करी है। तो मैं कोर्ट से दरख्वास्त करना चाहूँगी, जो पेमेंट डिले हुई है उसका इंटरेस्ट हमें ग्रांट किया जाए।
आज सवाल है कि क्या शांति कंडक्टर्स को मूल रकम पर ब्याज मिलेगा या नहीं, और क्या इंटरेस्ट ऑन डिलेड पेमेंट्स टू स्मॉल स्केल एंड एंसिलरी इंडस्ट्रियल अंडरटेकिंग 1993 इस केस पर लागू होगा। जैसा कि आप सभी लोगों ने सुना, देखते हैं शांति कंडक्टर्स को न्याय मिलेगा या नहीं। जानने के लिए जुड़े रहिए और देखते रहिए एपीएन न्यूज़। जय हिंद।
Supreme Court of India, inside the hall, daytime. Counsel representing the petitioner bows before the bench as a mark of respect.
Your Lordship, the counsel on behalf of the petitioner would like to begin with the bench's permission.
Yes, please.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, the issue which arises here is whether the suit for recovery of mere interest is maintainable, whether provisions of the Act are retrospective in nature, whether judgment rendered in Purbanchal Cables and Conductors Private Limited operates as res judicata in the instant case, and whether the suit filed by the appellants is barred by limitation. With that being said, the council would like to request your lordship for 1 minute to present the arguments.
Granted, please proceed, counsel.
Much obliged, your lordship. Lordship, it is humbly submitted that the Act 1993 was enacted as beneficial legislation to protect small-scale industries. The Act 1993 focused on supplies and use of the Act. My lordship, what is relevant is the amount due to the suppliers, and in event the amount due to supplier is subsequent to Act 1993, so the liability to pay interest on delayed payment accrues and is fastened on the buyer.
Okay, so counsel, the provincial case can operate as res judicata. Is this your contention?
No, my lord. The judgment of Guwahati High Court in Purbanchal cables cannot operate as res judicata, since appeal which was decided on 10 July 2012 was only against the reference of the full bench. The full bench having only answered the legal questions, the appeal in the High Court being still pending, and there being no decision in appeal, the principle of merger shall not be attracted. Thus,
Okay, we have heard you enough. What is your submission?
My lordship, I submit that the suit was not barred by limitation. The last payment made to the appellant being on 5 March 1994, the suit filed by the appellant on 10 January 1997 was well within limitation.
Counsel representing the respondent bows before the bench as a mark of respect and acknowledges their presence.
Greetings to your lordships. This is the council representing the Assam State Electricity Board. In reply to my learned opposite counsel, I am requesting your lordship for court's precious time to present my counter argument.
Granted, please proceed, counsel.
Much obliged, your lordship. At the very outset, I would like to appraise this honorable court that the Interest on Delayed Payments to Small Scale and Ancillary Industrial Undertakings Act 1993 was enacted with a legislative intent for prompt payment of money in case of default payment. It is pertinent to mention here, your lordship, that the payment of interest, even on commercial transactions, was already a concept that was dealt in several statutory provisions. I would also like to draw the attention of your lordship to the fact that the purchase orders and the agreements were executed before the enactment of the Act of 1993, and the appellant here cannot retrospectively apply the Act to a contract that was established under a different legal framework and before the Act's existence. Your lordship, here the appellant is going against.
After hearing both the counsel, the High Court, following the judgment of this court in Purbanchal Cables Conductor Private Limited, Supra, held that with regard to the transaction which had taken place prior to 23rd September 1992, the 1993 Act is not applicable. The appellants have appealed against the judgment of the High Court dated 20 February 2015. The pleading on record does not indicate that any supply was made by the appellants subsequent to enforcement of the 1993 Act. We have already held that the mere fact that the supply orders were issued prior to the enforcement of the Act does not deny the applicability of the 1993 Act in event supply has been made after the enforcement of the Act. There being nothing on record to conclude that any supply was made after the enforcement of the Act so as to enable the appellant to claim interest under Section 3 read with Section 4 of the 1993 Act, we are of the view that the judgment of the High Court does not need any interference in this appeal. In result, all appeals are dismissed.
Any other judgment related to the similar matter? वो तो फाइल ना, वो तो रेफर किया इसमें.
हाँ जी सर.
Other than this, नहीं आगे. आप लोग को देखना है इस पे, ठीक है?
It's caught in the crossfire. but in trust.